Page 21, Scenic Train Ride. On page 20, they're talking about guide notes and seconds, reading up and down. Let's just cover that briefly. The guide notes, we've been talking about them. In a treble clef or G clef, it tells you where G is. You use that as your guide, and you can figure out any other note by going up or down the alphabet from that point. So middle C is in the middle, you know about that, and then F for the F clef or bass clef, that's your guide note to tell you where notes are in the bass clef. Okay, fine. In the middle, reading seconds. Second, they're talking about an interval of a second. Remember, to count it, you simply count up. And the note you start with is 1. We don't start with 0. So let's say I'm on middle C. I want to go up a second. I just go 1, 2. That's it. It's the next note up or down on the keyboard. Second, a second, a second. We're just using the white keys here. Forget the black keys. We'll come back to those later. I can go down. Those are seconds because they're next to each other. Sounds wonderful, don't it? So in the music, a second is the next note up or down. If you're on a line, it'll be the space above or below the line. And if you're in a space, it'll be the line above or below the space. Look at the first line on Scenic Train Ride. In the second measure, you have 3 Ds. And by the way, these additional notes, the D, E, and the F, they're showing you on page 20. In the music, you need to know what those are now, so memorize this. You already know G and C. Now we're just filling them in with D, E, and F. So C, D, E, F, G. It goes up the alphabet. But you don't have time to go up the alphabet. You got to memorize them. So memorize the music. A D is underneath the bottom line in the staff. An E is the bottom line, and an F is the bottom space in a staff. Treble clef. Bass clef, it's different. Forget bass clef, right? We're dealing with treble clef. So that's what we're doing here, and they're next to each other. So you're going up or down a second. Well, in the second measure, you got 3 Ds, and then you go up a second. It's in the line right above it. And then go up another second, it's an F. You're going up or down a second. That comes in handy sometimes when you're reading music and you can see it went up a second or down a second, so you know you're just going up one or down one note on the keyboard. You still need to memorize the names of the notes in the music, and these notes on the keyboard. Know these, that's a D, it's in the middle of a group of 2, any D, whatever. And E is above a group of 2. So now we got all the notes around a group of 2 gotten. And the F is the bottom of group 3. So once you did that, we got 5 of the 7 notes we need to know. You're doing good if you can memorize these and get to drill yourself. In Scenic Train Ride, play the note and say it. Just drill yourself on the name of the note. You're starting on D, 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 C, D, 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 E, F, E. Drill yourself over and over and over until they're pretty much automatic. Now let's talk Scenic Train Ride. They're introducing a sign. I don't know if you've seen it before. I'll talk about that a little later. I'll come back to that sign at the top, the repeat sign thing. Yeah. Let's look this piece over. It's 3 lines long, treble and bass clef, 4/4 time. There's 4 counts in a measure. You're counting quarter notes. We got quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. We've handled all that before. And I don't see any notes in the bottom staff at all. So it's all just for the right hand. We're going to do that here. So first, let's make sure we got the notes. You're starting second finger on D here. It puts the hand here. I would just play the 3 Ds, and then the C, and then the Ds more, and then the E, and then the F. Make sure you can get all these notes okay. And measure 9, second line, it's a G, and the F, E, D, and just make sure you got the notes. Now we add the counting. Quarter note gets count, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you do the counting, and the second line, half note gets 2 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you add the count. Now, by the way, on this counting, you're only counting when you're first trying to figure out what the rhythm is and get a feel for what the rhythm is. Once you know what the rhythm is, you don't count it anymore. You feel it. You feel this rhythm. I can feel these beats. I don't have to say 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're singing, you can't say 1, 2, 3, 4 anyway. You're singing. As far as articulation goes, they don't have any, so don't worry about accenting anything. Dynamics, well, they have two. They have an MF and a P. The MF is mezzo forte, remember, or medium loud. Whatever you think sort of loud is. And then for the second verse there, it's a P. It's soft piano. Well, that brings us to these repeat signs. To show you what they look like, the sign at the end of the first line is a repeat sign. The sign at the beginning is a reverse repeat sign. It's pointing the other way. And you play the stuff in between the signs. You repeat that. So you're going to play the first line twice. Technically speaking, I don't think it's accurate, but that's what they've done, and I'd like to explain, just in case you're not confused enough. The idea with a repeat sign is you go back to the previous reverse repeat sign and play that stuff again. If there is no reverse repeat sign, then you go back to the beginning and play it all again. So there is no valid reason I can see to have a reverse repeat sign at the beginning, because you're going to go there anyway. So in my opinion, they don't need the reverse repeat sign. They put it in there because they're showing you what it is, and they want you to know what it is. A lot of method books wouldn't introduce the reverse repeat sign till much later when you actually need one. This book does it right off the bat. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it playing it. It's just technically you're not going to see a reverse repeat sign at the beginning of a piece. There's no reason for it. So dynamics, the second time you play the first line, you play it soft, and then on measure 9 you're loud. Forte is loud. Just a little louder than you were with the mezzo forte, whatever that is. And then the last line you come back down to mezzo forte like you were at the beginning. That's the dynamics. Speed, they don't give you any. I'm going to suggest you just play it in the middle somewhere. It doesn't need to go fast or slow or whatever. I'm assuming a train goes fairly quickly. I don't know if they want you to go that fast or not. That seems a little fast for right now. I don't know if your fingers are working there. So you play it at your speed, but play it accurately. Don't go faster than what you can play accurately, because you can speed it up later. Now they have a discovery thing there below the song, right above the duet. And they say play low D to A. Well, D is here and then A is here. They say low, so come down here. I guess you could do here. I think it'd sound better if you come way down here. Play it really, really low. If you want to try that out, you go right ahead. I'll leave that up to you. If you want to skip it, that's fine too. The idea is you're developing, doing different things in the hands at the same time. And that is important to do. Let's play this together very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. I'm going to play it all about the same, but we will do the repeat. I always do the repeats in these videos. The repeat sign is there for a reason, so let's do it. A lot of people treat repeat signs as optional. Well, sometimes they actually are, but in these videos, lesson videos, to me, they're not optional. We do them. I'll give us 4 counts. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, repeat. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, 4, off. There's a duet at the bottom of this, so I would like you to play. I'd like to play that, and you don't need to play it. I'll play that, and then you can do your thing. However, now we're going to change things up a bit. Let's talk. Remember intervals, distance between two notes. Now we're going to talk about an interval called an octave. It's an interval of an 8. OCT, oct, means 8. An interval of an octave is an 8th. Interval of an 8th. So count up 8. Well, if I'm on C, let's go here on C, and I go up 8. 1, remember the note we're on is 1, not 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I get another C. See, octaves are very important in music. We use them a lot. It's the same letter. So A to A, D to D, G to G, C to C, they're octaves. That's an octave, G to G, F, F, C, C. Those are octaves. Here, I need you to pretend middle C goes up an octave. That means middle C, instead of being here on the piano, is going to be up here on the piano. It's going to be this C. So you're going to pretend this C is middle C. Just pretend. We can pretend. I know we can. And you're going to play it up here. So instead of here, you're going to be up here. That's what you call playing it up an octave. You just played it up and just went up an octave and played the same thing. I need you to do that. It'll sound better with the duet part if you do that. So I'll speed it up a little. I'll do the dynamics. Now let's play it together. Now this is after you've learned it. No hesitations anywhere. And hopefully here you can play this without looking at the keyboard too. So go ahead and put your hand up here. And here we go. 1, 2, ready, go.